Hello, this is Christina Barn. You're watching Black Tea News. Hello. Welcome to Black Tea News. I'm your host, Christina Barn. Today, we're going to be talking still about some of the aftermath of the terrorist attack that happened in Israel this weekend. But there's something I didn't get to yesterday. Yesterday, I cut the show short, which I said I would say why. But I mean, I think I mentioned it on the air, but I did go to like a local pro-Israel rally. I thought actually that my local congressional district had put it on because that's where I heard it from, like online. And so I went there and it was just nonpartisan, it seemed you know, there are some people that I recognize, a lot of people, most people I didn't know. But people were just, grateful to for me to be there, people to be there to show their support, to see, cars going by and honking their horns and people waving their flags and being in support. And when I got home, I told my sister about it, and she's like, "How they know you're not Jewish?" Just teasing. I'm like, "I don't know." um, no, but they're just very very grateful to have support, and have people be there. And one woman that I talked to, she was devastated by what was happening, but her heart was still so broken because she like knew there had to be response, but at the same time, she didn't want anyone else to get hurt. So um it's nice to to see in these tragedies that people aren't just consumed with rage, that people still have compassion. um I don't know, a lot of these circumstances, I keep thinking about there's a scene in Game of Thrones where Arya, I think, asked Sansa, like, is this what you want? And she's like, it's not what I want, it's what honor demands. And unfortunately, Hamas has it in their charter that they want to wipe out Jews. So, um, there's only so much that you can take. So, it's a really tragic circumstance. I mean, this was really a slaughter, and there's some crazy stuff that's come out since then as reports continue to come out. Different discoveries. There's one that is just crazy, so crazy that people are saying it's a hoax. It's been confirmed by multiple sources. I haven't seen the pictures, but they're saying that there were 40 babies found that were decapitated. And I haven't seen the pictures of those, but I did see a picture yesterday. Not a picture, I'm sorry, a video. And Ben showed it on a show of men trying to decapitate a man who was alive with a shovel. So I excuse me if I don't really find it to be that far fetched. Um uh Looks like if you're watching on Twitch, something just went awry. So I apologize if something just happened and maybe it just got fixed. I don't know. But I also want to talk to you guys about something that Mike Pence said yesterday, and I wanted to get to it yesterday. It was so enraging, at least to me, and I think he should drop out. I think he should drop out. I totally question his motivations for running because is he crazy? Because he's not going to win. So I don't understand saying what he said, and I'll play it for you guys. So anyway, before we jump into everything, I want to encourage you guys to go blacktnews.com, check out different content on my website, different articles, different videos, etc. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation at blacktnews.com/donate, because it does cost to stream, it costs to run my website, all that stuff, so you guys can support in that way. I very much do appreciate it. You guys can give stars for watching on Facebook. You can give super chats if you're watching on YouTube, or you guys can do super thanks. Thank you guys to those who are watching it live and those who watch it later. Again, thank you. You guys can check out different merch that we have. Like, I'm wearing the I'm not the victim you're looking for shirt. Right now that's available at blacktnews.com. I will pop it up so you guys can see it. This is one of my shirts that people really, really like. I think perhaps the most, besides like the goat hoodies and t-shirts, people, really like those. So you can get all that at blacktnews.com. The mug is also, popular as well, the black tea mug, which there it is. There it is. It's still pumpkin spice season though, so you guys can get the pumpkin spice. I did draw that little Trump chibi though. That is my little creation there. So anyway, it's available at the website. um so let's just get to it, I suppose. First and foremost, I think before I want to talk about the Israel stuff, I want to talk about the state of the GOP and just some crazy stuff right now. And so there's different qualifications that you have to meet. I don't know them off the top of my head to be on the debate stage. There's been, like, Larry Elder was upset because RNC said a poll that he had that qualified was a Trump associated poll, so they weren't going to let him in the debate. So he was mad, talking about suing them and stuff. And so he hasn't gotten into a debate. There's been two debates. We had one person who was knocked off. So Doug Burgum, who did have substantive things to say, I'll give you that, on the debate stage, but he was so aggressive in the last debate. Kept wanting to talk when it wasn't his turn, interject and other stuff like that. And to me, it was really annoying. And I wanted him to go, and he was polling the least. So apparently his campaign, I had heard that his campaign was doing stuff to qualify before to get donations, because you have to get a certain amount of donations. You have to get, or donors, at least. So this I don't know. This stuff doesn't look like it should be allowed if this is the case. And I think the RNC should do something about it. So Bidenomics got you paying too much for gas. Donate $1. We'll send you a $20 gas card. That's messed up. I think. I guess it's a good idea, but I suppose they're getting big donations from big donors, and then they use that money to just, I guess, transfer it to get people involved in um going to go participate in his campaign. So um in the that's from his yeah, that's legit. So when did he post that? Yesterday? So I don't know if you're all gonna rush off to go donate to Bergam for your $20 gas card. I might do it myself. But I don't think this sort of thing should be able to buy your way into a primary debate. Like the point of setting up the amount of low dollar donations, amount of unique donors to participate, is because they want to make sure that you have support. It's not about just getting big chunks of money, because lots of people know big donors who they want to back them or whatever. So if you're paying to have support like this, it doesn't show that you have any sort of organic um, support that can get you through to a general election. If you have to resort to such things, you know, I guess don't hate the player, hate the game. But if you have to resort to this, you shouldn't be in the race. You're just wasting people's time. And I understand you want to be president. There's a lot of people out there who wants to be president and be in positions of power. That doesn't mean that they should be or they can be, or that it's good for the party, that you can go the distance or whatever. And I don't think he can. Again, he said some substantive stuff during the debate, though I didn't like his performance. He was really killing me. And they threatened to turn off his mic at one point, which I agreed with. Just when they asked people to vote people off the island, DeSantis had a classy move, like, no, we're not going to do that. Like, everybody's here participating. And me, I'm just kind of like, or let it be him. Let it be him. Because he was just so annoying to me, just way too aggressive, desperate. And you could say this is smart. But it's definitely desperate and not what we need. Not what we need. If you really want to be president, I'm sorry, not everyone's dream can come true. It's just, not going to happen for you, sir. I'm sorry. If you really want Trump to not be president, everyone eventually coalescing around a particular candidate is going to have to be the path forward. Some people think that the RNC is just kind of a will allow stuff like this because I don't know how widespread this conspiracy is. I just saw some people mentioning that because they're like, is the RNC going to do anything? They're like, no, they want it to be diluted because they're pro Trump, which that is true. That is true. Rana and Trump have a, I don't know, some kind of a blood oath or something. I don't know, but this is nuts. And I guess that's all I got to say specifically about this at the moment. Um, so moving on, since we're on the subject of um, failed GOP candidates who want to be president who are not going to be going anywhere. Mike Pence said something the other day, and I guess it's not really like a ooh, I said an oopsie or something, because he did post it on his own social media. He decided to sort of blame his competitors for the terrorist attack in Israel. I guess, his idea was, when you have weakness, it just breeds opportunistic things for terrorists. I don't know. So here's his video.
But I also believe this is what happens when we have leading voices like Donald Trump, Vivek Ramaswamy, and Ron DeSantis signaling retreat from America's role as leader of the free world. What happened in Ukraine was an unprovoked invasion by Russia. What happened this weekend was an unprovoked invasion by Hamas into Israel. And I really believe now more than ever, both the debate within the Republican Party and the debate within America is whether or not we're going to once again stand without apology as the leader of the free world, as the arsenal of democracy. The heartbreaking images coming out of both of these theaters of operations remind us that America is the indispensable leader of the free world. And if I'm president of the United States, we'll lead from American strength.
So I saw that yesterday. I didn't get to it. When I saw that, I was pretty mad, and I've since calmed down. But I think he should drop out. I think that sort of rhetoric is pretty despicable, and I understand. If you're on the debates, if you're watching the debates, different people have commented about what's in it for all these different candidates. DeSantis obviously wants to win to be president. I think Nikki Haley wants to obviously be president. I'm not convinced that Vivek wants to be president, but I think his goal is, I don't know, to be more famous for some reason. I don't know if it's for a Senate run. I don't know if it's for an appointment somewhere or whatever, but he's I don't know. Chris Christie is, if he has any sort of disillusion about him winning the presidency, that's not going to happen. But I think he's there to basically, fire bullets at Trump and to stop him. But if he's not willing to drop out before like some of these races begin, so numbers can go elsewhere, I don't see how he'll help. He'll end up making the thing he doesn't want to happen. Who else is in there? But Burgum is wasting his time. I don't know what his deal is because to basically pay people to get him on the debate stage. But Mike Pence there to maybe because he feels like Trump, isn't fit for office, yet he wants to still defend his legacy. But if he has any sort of ideas about him actually being able to pull it off, maybe in the past, but so much has happened. There's too many people on the GOP side that see him as some kind of traitor for not holding up the election or whatever. And FYI, I think ultimately in my opinion, that he did the right thing at the time. But man, people were angry about it and still angry about it, and probably angry that I said what I said. But you know, he's there's just too much bad blood for him to be able to make it through a primary with any sort of hope. And even if he made it to a general, there's people who hate Trump. He was still his vice president, so they're still gonna, just because he like didn't do what he wanted at the very end doesn't decouple him from the fact that he's attached to the Trump presidency. So there's that. Then there's people who hated his guts far more than they even hated Trump. They would say, I don't know if you guys remember this, but people would say, no, we can't impeach Trump because then we get Mike Pence. And Mike Pence actually believes the stuff they talk about. I heard that all the time. That was everywhere. You know, different activists were saying it, people in the media, people, online, they didn't want Mike Pence. They're like, how people feel about Joe Biden and Kamala, that's what people felt about Trump and Mike Pence. Except in the case of, like, Joe's like a dead person and training for it, just an incompetent mess. I think, they're afraid of Pence's principles, his morals, his competency, etc. So and all those things I think are good. Like, I like the fact that I believe that he is a true, Christian conservative. Christian conservative Republican is how he describes himself. And he always says in that order, right? But to the point where you want to go on TV, and there's been this giant massacre, about it like 1,000 Israelis butchered, thousands of people injured, I know is it 150, maybe it's more than that, kidnapped, including Americans. Americans have been killed and kidnapped. There's Italians have been killed and kidnapped. There have been people have been killed and I don't know if kidnapped too, but it's a mess. And you can point the finger at someone who is very weak in foreign policy, who's in the White House right now. You could devote your attention to that person who needs to be taken down by whoever is the Republican nominee. And you point your finger at not only Vivek, who has said a lot of questionable things on foreign policy, but also at Ron DeSantis, who, I think push comes to shove, if someone made a good argument for doing something with Ukraine, he'd probably go that route. But paying for their infrastructure and small businesses, that doesn't make any sense. The war is going to a point where people say it's not making any sense. Like, what's the solution? Where's the resolution? What is the end game? And how's our money being spent? Is it being spent reasonably? And how is it being spent compared to when we look at how they're taking care of their citizens with our money versus like how our citizens are struggling? Like, so much of it isn't making sense. And then you're like, oh, well, because of how they feel about Ukraine, it's breeding this weakness. So now Hamas, who's always wanted to kill all the Jews, have done this terrible thing that they've been planning for a while, and does this very sophisticated attack, obviously with the help of Iran. It's so inappropriate, and it's so I don't know, cruelly advantageous. And at the debate, he had better digs in the first debate. And I was a little surprised, like, oh, Mike Pence is a little saucy. He's spicy. Some of the stuff he said about Vivek, and he had more digs in the second debate as well. They weren't good. And not all of his punches and stuff landed in the first debate, but like, he came after Vivek for being basically too young. And I'm like, he's old enough. Our Constitution says that. Like, get over it, bro. Like, there's reasons not to like Vivek, but him being, younger than 40, I think he's 38 or whatever. That's not it. That's not where we're at. But I guess he's just, I'm ready to punch, I'm ready to be rough, and they want a fighter, so I'm gonna fight. But you got to be careful when you're, I don't know, struggling at the low polling that he is, that when you're like, when someone is drowning and you go to rescue them and they're so busy like trying to come up and be saved while they're panicking, they can be a risk and pull you down as well. And I'm not the man can focus on Joe Biden. He can focus on Joe Biden. There's a real lack of leadership and strength right now in the United States. And I think there's something to be said about some of the comments on foreign policy that someone like Vivek and stuff has been making. You can agree or disagree with DeSantis. I think he can be clear or whatever on some of the stuff with Ukraine, but he's going to upset somebody one way or another. People are going to disagree with his stance, but um, his stance and his commentary on Israel has been pretty. Some people might not say spot on, but I think spot on. He's been very strong in regards to support of our allies. They just like issued some sanctions in Florida right now. So, I mean, the sanctions thing I think happened today, and Pence's comment was, I think, from yesterday, or it could be from Sunday. But the politics and everything going on with Ukraine, not every situation is the same. I don't think that's comparable to what's going on, and quite comparable. I mean, I can understand the comparisons and stuff, but it's not quite the same situation and circumstance. Again, and I'm not aware of. I know we issued like some boots on the ground to try to help with like the hostage situation, who like people who specialize in that. But other than that, I don't feel, at least at this time, that America wants it to expand into different regions around the world and become like the next World War III. And maybe some people don't believe that or whatever, but um, at the very least, supplying money to our allies and saying that they have a right to defend themselves and backing them up, at least, you know, with our, I don't know, promises or voice alone or something, is enough, I guess, at the moment. And Israel is more than capable of defending themselves at right now. They're going into Gaza. So I don't know what. I'm just baffled, I guess. And I'm baffled that he thought it was a good thing to say, a good route to go. Um, I thought it was really cheap. I thought it was really cheap, and I don't. A lot of people hate Mike Pence. I don't hate Mike Pence. Um, you know, I would say I like him for a lot of reasons, particularly his principles on a lot of particular issues. So I wasn't going to vote for him in a primary, though. I'm not going to vote for him in a primary, but I think his comments were really cheap, and to be frank, I'm disappointed. Yesterday I was angry. Today I'm disappointed. I continue to be disappointed, and I think those kind of comments are unbecoming of him, and he has nowhere to go in this primary anyway. If he really doesn't want Trump to be, that's another thing. I don't want to rant about this all day, but if he really doesn't want Trump to be the nominee, if he really feels that Trump is unworthy of that office, who's he going to support? Like, I would assume he's not going to get it. So is it Nikki Haley? Is Nikki Haley the person that he's going to be backing? Because he did attack Vivek and DeSantis. Though I still feel that at the end of the day, I think the only real big challenge is going to be DeSantis to Trump. So I question everyone's judgment right now. Everyone's judgment is just bizarre right now. Anyway, talking about some of the horrors that have gone on this weekend. There's a big story right now, that I guess I'll play some of the news report, and a lot of people don't know if it's real or true, or alleging that it wasn't true. There's been multiple confirmations. Again, I have not personally seen these images, so at the end of the day, I suppose I can't say that I have seen them myself. There's journalists who said that they've seen the images and verified or whatever themselves. I don't really want to see these images, but I have seen um, Hamas soldiers trying to decapitate people who were kind of alive, barely alive, I suppose, but still alive, with shovels. So considering the burned bodies of children, the stacked bodies, the grandmothers who have been killed, the women who have been sexually assaulted and paraded around. I don't find this to be too out of the realm of possibility, but I'm not saying that people don't tell different stories to gin up propaganda to get people more like uh, horrified and in the moment of, oh, we have to go to where we have to do, because I mean it's not necessary, because everything that's happened, at least the stuff that I've seen and what people are experiencing firsthand. I don't personally know anyone who, I mean, I know people who know people, but it's a small nation. The kind of number equivalent to what's going on in Israel would be like if we lost more than like 30,000 people in the US in some kind of terrorist attack. Um and then, had, I don't know, 60 to 70,000 people injured or something like that. Roughly did the math or something, try to drop some comparison earlier, but um they're already at that point. There's so many horrific things. So you don't need to lie about something like this. But again, it's been confirmed by multiple sources. So, and even some people who claim that it wasn't true have like removed their different posts. So I'll just go ahead and show the news report and prepare to be horrified.
Even explain exactly just the mass casualties that happened right here. In fact, the Israeli military says they still don't have a clear number, but I'm talking to some of the soldiers and they say what they've witnessed as they've been walking through these different houses, these different communities, babies, their heads cut off. That's what they said. Gunned down, families completely gunned down in their beds. You can see some of these soldiers right now comforting each other. Many of them reserves who jumped into action, leaving their own families behind as well, not knowing the sheer horror that they were about to come to. They say they've never experienced anything like this. This is nothing that anyone could have even imagined when you're walking through here. Baby cribs thrown to the side, doors thrown wide open. Still some Israeli bodies still here because the fighting in this community just ended just recently. So many of these troops are still going house to house, door to door. It's taken them sometimes 30 minutes, 40 minutes, because many of these houses are also still have grenades in them, booby traps. In fact, as we're trying to get closer to some of these scenes, we're being told, no, get back from some of these Israeli military because there are still grenades in the area. I want us to keep walking through, continue to kind of see the destruction that's happening on the ground here. Even something as simple as a soccer net just left to the side here as people were with their families playing. I see in the distance more bodies being covered, all the while as they're covering these Israeli bodies, trying to evacuate everyone else from the territory, taking all of the casualties out of here. It's also littered with the bodies of terrorists. So we're hearing from one of the lead commanders here. It was anywhere from maybe 70 armed terrorists who made their way here from the Gaza border fence, which is less than a quarter of a mile away. And as I said, the atrocities that they committed, violence with guns, with grenades, with knives, targeting these innocent civilians inside their homes. homes. So for the soldiers here, it's a very, very difficult scene for them as well. As I said, leaving their families behind, but they say they will continue to be here, continue to kill every terrorist who is in the area. You can hear we're very, very close to the Gaza Strip, so we continue to hear artillery firing overhead as well. Even as we were giving this tour, we were told to get on the ground and take cover because you're so close to the Strip right now, you don't even get the red alert. You actually hear the boom before you're even told to get to the ground. So this is the reality, and this is what all of these soldiers, you can see, none of them expecting this, but all of them being here, ready for the fight nonetheless, and proud to fight for their country is what I'm hearing as well. And so that's why they want to show the press, they want to show these very, very difficult images, David, but they want everyone out here because they want to see and show exactly what is happening here on the ground. David,
So, again, I see someone in my comments is like, this is like the incubator story in Iraq. Yeah, that's what a lot of people were saying online. And again, they've had to like delete their comments and stuff because multiple people did confirm it. But if you don't want to believe it, you know, um I don't know why people think it's far-fetched. Again, because I did watch a video yesterday of Hamas trying to decapitate someone's head with a shovel. So I I don't know why you find it so unbelievable. Again, there's so many things that have happened that people have witnessed that it's just not far fetched, I suppose. Yesterday I talked about a girl who discovered that her grandmother was dead because Hamas uploaded it to Facebook. Here's her interview.
ברגע שיצאנו מהממ"ד, דודה שלי התקשרה לאמא בצרחות, תפתחו את הפייסבוק, תפתחו את הפייסבוק. אמא לא הצליחה בכלל לפתוח, רעדה בכל הגוף שלה. אני פתחתי מהטלפון שלי וראיתי זוועה, ראיתי את האסון הכי גדול שאפשר בכלל לדמיין. סבתא שלי על הרצפה בבית שלה, רצוחה בסרטון. כל הרצפה דם, סבתא שלי שוכבת שם. המחבל פשוט לקח את הנייד הפרטי שלה, צילם אותה והעלה את זה לקיר פייסבוק הפרטי שלה. ככה התבשרנו, ככה גילינו את זה. צרחנו ברמות, כולם פה איבדו את זה, צרחנו. זה מראות הכי קשים שאפשר בכלל לדמיין ולהריץ לעצמך בראש. פשוט זה לא עוזב אותנו עד עכשיו, זה לא יעזוב אותנו בחיים.
So really terrible things. Really I can't even like imagine all this stuff happening. And I keep saying like I will say something like oh, it's unbelievable, then I'll walk it back or stop myself from saying it because people are terrible. People can do some evil, awful, cruel things to each other. Like I don't know why people find the beheading story so insane. Um they're willing to go and shoot the kids and other people in the face and stack their bodies to burn the kids alive. I mean, there's pictures of bloody cribs and all sorts of stuff. There's videos of kids with their families dead, their guts hanging out, blood everywhere. But we know that people. I mean, think of someone like Kermit Gosnell. That was someone in the United States who was delivering babies and snipping their spines. Um, and people were still trying to get him off and cover up for him because they were concerned about how that would hurt the abortion industry. So you cannot believe it if you don't want to, and it could not be true, but it seems like it's true. It's been verified multiple times, but there's enough crazy stuff going on that's totally immoral. Hamas came to terrorize and murder civilians. That is their intended purpose. It was a massacre. They want to kill the Jews. That is in their charter. They are elected among the Palestinians and stuff. They have control of that area. Well, I guess not really so much. They're getting their butts whooped right now, it seems. So these aren't good people. They're not doing good things. They don't have good intentions. It's not an attack like it's man v man, soldier v soldier. Elderly women kidnapped, forced to pose with guns. Women who were sexually assaulted near corpses of their friends at that concert. Imagine going to a concert for peace and people are gliding in with weapons to kill you. And there's some really bad takes from the left and the right. We talked about both yesterday. Mike Cernovich is really, really all over the place. But in one of his threads, someone was complaining and saying that the U.S. needs to just stay out of this and blah, 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 etc. And I did mention, I'm like, well, they did kill and kidnap Americans. And they're like, yeah, but people go over there and they know the risk. They're like, that sucks, and we should do what we can to get them back. And that, I don't know, sort of attitude is just comforting because, when I was in the 10th grade, me and my 3 older siblings and my dad, we went to the Philippines, and that they had some terrorist stuff going on recently at that time. And there's a couple of incidents. It was not really safe to go. There was a State Department warning. And we prayed about it, and we felt it was okay to still go. And and we still had the utmost confidence in the US government that if something happened that they would try to get us home. And maybe you could say that's naive or whatever, but we went, there was no incident. But the State Department actually did send civilian spies to follow us with satellite phones in case we were kidnapped. That's how dangerous and stuff it was at the time. But this was in the era of Bush. I can't say that maybe I would have felt the same confidence in the era of Obama, or it's certainly not Biden. Biden's like pretty much like, get out, it's your fault. What are you supposed to do with some happens? What are we supposed to do? So I found it comments like his disheartening, because I'm like, if my family was like, I don't know, kidnapped by terrorists, would they be like, well, they just shouldn't have went over there. It could end up, maybe you'd say that, but that that's just doesn't seem like the attitudes that, I don't know, folks should have. People should be able to travel, I suppose, and expect that those things aren't going to happen, I guess. But in the particular case of people being kidnapped in Israel, these people were going to see their families. There's one young woman, and I shared her photo. I'm gonna just pull it up on Twitter really quick. And she was over there visiting her family. So the attitude of shouldn't go over there, it's too dangerous or whatever. I mean, it's been dangerous for a minute. Um, Israel has pretty good security, the Iron Dome, etc. I mean, people make visits over there all the time. Cory Booker was over there when all this stuff started popping off. But she's 18 years old from Chicago, and she's being held hostage by Hamas, who I guess wants to release videos of the hostages begging for their lives. I guess before they execute them or plan to execute them. Some people have been found and retrieved, and I pray for their well-being and their safe return. But just visiting family, not necessarily like signing up for a like me and my family were signing up for like a we're on a mission from God. We're gonna you know our lives belong to him, etc. But hopefully the U.S. would do something. But it's worth the risk. They're just visiting family. So that attitude, like, it's dangerous. I just think that sucks, guys. I and so from my understanding, we do have some people on the ground who are trying to help coordinate and get them back, people who specialize in this, and God bless them. But people who are complaining like of involvement in wars and all these wars, I don't love forever wars, anything like that either. But it what is happening right now that you're so ticked off about as far as like US involvement, just because we give them aid to our ally so they can make sure they have the Iron Dome, that they're not all just destroyed by rockets constantly blasting them all the time. Like I don't understand why there's such an issue. Like if it starts expanding and you get all these other nations involved and it expands, then that's something that I don't know, some of these populist folks on the right are upset. Like I can understand if it goes that route, but that doesn't seem like that's something that we particularly want right now. And it I know some people don't think that's where it's headed. We'll see. We'll see. Someone asked me the other day, I guess my take on why they said they unsubscribed to Ben Shapiro, which people can have their opinions about how strong Ben feels about this, but keep in mind that he's Jewish. And he undoubtedly knows people who have lost someone or knows people who have died. And um this is and you turn on the TV and you see all these people celebrating these acts of terror. um it's very personal to him. So anyway, they said that they had unsubbed to him, and they didn't understand people on the right and their interest in Israel. And so I just don't understand, I guess. um they are our ally. They have been our ally after um World War II and stuff. Benjamin Netanyahu's father talked to Eisenhower about why they should support Israel, and they talked about, well, communism and stuff will not only spread, and it will not only will these nations in the Middle East not stop it, they will just kind of let it to continue to spread and stuff. They're like, we want to be a beacon of Western civilization, of Western values and things. And Eisenhower's like, you guys are very tiny. What are you guys going to do about that? And he's like, we can fight. We will fight. And they have fought. And people didn't understand, like, they described them as like European colonizers or something to that degree. I don't know. And I'm like, they've been connected to this land since the days of Abraham. It's been like 3,500 years and whatnot. They got removed from that land. They came back from that land, and then they became a nation, and they were attacked continuously and fought for that land. You can dispute who you think should be on that land, but I don't know. You could say that that's not their land. And again, Hamas wants to wipe them off the face of the planet. They don't want a two-state solution. They want them to die. It's in their charter. The Palestinians elected them. If you want to talk about allies and what side you pick, I don't want to pick the one that's, you know, raping women next to corpses at the concert. Like, so to me, just I don't know what I'm missing. I don't know what I'm missing. I don't know what I'm missing from the I don't understand people's outrage to the response of is let me just put it this way. Like imagine if there was some kind of massive attack in the US and we lost upwards of 30,000 people like in a day, that we had 60 to 70,000 people who were murdered. I mean, not murdered, I'm sorry, injured, that they kidnapped thousands of people. Like, what kind of response would the US have? Seriously, what kind of response would the US have to that? Because we would take no lectures from anyone about what we were willing to do to seek some kind of justice. So whether you want the US to get involved or whatever, you're just kind of like, I don't know, sitting back and watching the fireworks fly. I just don't understand the particular animosity toward Israel having a reaction to what was done to them. I don't get it. I don't get it. And you could say, well, or have in your mind that they I mean, people have dared to say that it's warranted or have justified the attacks in some way. They're like, basically they had it coming. Rashida Tlaib basically had it coming sort of attitude, which um many people have denounced, including Democrats. I don't know what can justify the sort of barbarism that was witnessed, and I'm what am I missing, guys? Have people just not seen it? Have people just not looked? Have people just not read the heartbreaking stories? Is and maybe maybe that's the case because there was a YouGov poll um asking about Hamas whether they were deliberately striking Israeli civilian areas, and US adults 53% um I guess said that they were, and that number should be higher because it's pretty evident, especially since they were uploading their atrocities to social media. Like, it's not a secret. Like, someone made the point that the Germans, when they are doing these atrocities to the Jews, that they had to hide them a bit. But Hamas, they're bragging about it. They're proud of it. And despite the fact that they're proud of it, you have these sympathizers from around the world that are excited about it and like, yes, liberation, decolonization, etc. And it's like, these people are monsters. Well, I said that, monsters aren't real. They're just evil. They're just evil. Um but when it breaks down to like the different ages, the 18 to 29 says 32% think it's deliberate. So that's alarming. So there's a lot of young people who are just really ignorant about this, and I don't know if ignorant is even the right word. Maybe they're just willfully delusional. Because I don't know, if you're that ignorant, you could just say, I don't know. 30 to 44% said that it was deliberate. 45 to 64 was said, 62% said that it was deliberate, and 65 and up, they say 76% of those Americans think that it was they're deliberately attacking civilians, but it's not up for debate. It's a fact that they are deliberately going into residential areas and killing civilians. Not like people dying because of collateral damage. They're killing civilians because they want to. So I don't know what I'm missing, guys. Some people's responses are maybe my response is baffling to some of you. It's that the people's responses are definitely baffling to me. Again, if something like this happened to the United States, we would not for a moment entertain anyone lecturing us on how we are going to respond. And if we had to go chase people to the ends of the world or whatever, we would expect our allies to back us, to help coordinate or whatever. Um, until we enacted justice. And people would sign up to go to war. People, it's, I remember I mentioned 9/11 the other day, and I was a kid. I was in the 7th grade when that happened. And I remember the horror, the shock, the sadness. I'm sure people um who were older, or people who knew people who, died, or people in New York had stronger, feelings. Again, I was a kid, but it was still pretty horrific. I know people who signed up to go to war because in that time, um, and if something happened like that again, people be ready to again seek some kind of justice. So you could not like Israel. You could not be on their side, but people being baffled about their reactions and going into Gaza and doing strikes and trying to take out Hamas. I, what do you expect? What do you expect? What do you expect? Yesterday I didn't show this clip, but MSNBC had a lot of a lot of propaganda, and Jonathan Greenwalt, who's with the ADL, he's on MSNBC, believe it a lot, but he just had to like go off on them. And I'm gonna play 2 clips from him, but this was the other day. He went off on their coverage.
So while I am sad and trying to cope, I'll be honest, I am angry. I am angry with the world that allowed the dehumanization of Israelis and sanitized the terrorism of Hamas. I must say, I love this show and I love this network, but I've got to ask, who is writing the scripts? Hamas? The people who did this, they are not fighters, Jonathan. They are not militants, and I'm looking right at the camera. They are terrorists. It is a barbarian who rapes and brutalizes women, who kills children in front of their parents, and then brings them over to Gaza, who literally, we've heard all these reports, and we know these aren't just reports. These were filmed gleefully by the barbarians who committed these grotesque crimes. They filmed, for example, an elderly woman in her home in one of these towns. They burned her alive in her house because she was too infirm to take out. And, parading women, bleeding from the crotch because they were raped throughout Gaza while people hoot and holler and cheer. So look, when we say, oh, this was an escalation, it was bound to happen, I am sorry. This was a massacre that was pre-planned. This was not destined to happen. It is not normal to shoot teenagers in the back, hundreds of them. So I just think, guys, get the story right. And all these people.
Yeah, so glad that he said something about that. Here's him talking some more today. I believe this is from today. About some of the events going on.
Jonathan, I'll just start with you and ask you to respond to what you've just witnessed and what we've been witnessing, sadly, for too many days now.
Well, look, Joe and Mika, I'm going to do my best not to break down on the air. It sort of helps. I've heard so many of these stories. I have friends who were killed. I have family hunkered down right now in Ashkelon. I have staff who can't locate members of their family. This is the worst of days. And, you know, I really appreciate what you said before this segment. Like, a lot of people are focusing right now on, was this a military failure? Was this an intelligence failure? Joe, this was a moral failure that we are all accountable for, because Hamas told us again and again and again and again in their charter, in their statements, through their actions, that their goal has never been a two-state solution. It has never been dignity and nationhood for Palestinians. It is the destruction of the Jewish state. It is the murder of Jews. And we have got to stop referring to what happened on Saturday as an attack, as if it was military on military. This was a massacre. This was a slaughter. The appropriate word is medieval, and the appropriate points of comparison are Al-Qaeda and ISIS.
Yeah. So before I let you guys go, I do want to at least leave on a more positive note if I can. There was a story that I wanted to get to yesterday, but um, there was a woman named April Edry. I'm not sure how you say last name. I'm sorry. But she was captured, her and her husband, by Hamas, and there were 5 different terrorists in her house, and so she bought time and by feeding them. And so the stories are going around that she bought time and she fed them, and while they were gorging themselves on like her complete meal, that's when like the special forces came in and killed everybody, killed the terrorists. I don't from That's what's going on online from the different reports that I've read. It didn't quite happen like that. Like they did have her, and she did buy time. And when like people were holding grenades to her head, saying Allah Akbar and like I'm a martyr for Allah and other stuff like that. And she kind of said her husband was a bit useless, but she kept encouraging him to like pray and that they're going to get through it. And so I guess when the police, the special forces or whatever came, she was like, oh well, let's get you guys some cookies. And so she got them some cookies. And in her mind she was like, hungry men are more volatile, dangerous men, so at least let me make sure that they're happy, I guess, in that kind of way. And she did get them other sort of food and stuff. And so then one of them ended up going outside and getting killed. And so she signaled, she like put her hand on her head and like signaled like how many people were there, and they were trying to stop her. She's like, I just have a headache, but she's like signaling how many terrorists are inside of her house. So eventually they came in and they were able to get her and her husband out, and she made it out without a scratch, except for like one that she accidentally got from her dog or whatever, but they made it out alive. So she became a bit of like a hero on the internet. So I just wanted to share some of the memes. So when the story was presenting itself, like she fed them and they came in, people were making all these memes with different cookies, and then also compared her to JL in the Bible. If you don't know that story, I suggest you look it up. But that's her. She's probably I think telling the story about how she put her hand to her head, that she's signaling, how many people are in the house. You don't know that Bible story. That's one of my sister's favorite Bible story, my youngest sister. Look up JL in the Bible. The I accept cookies. So she became a bit of a meme hero. There's more. Um, oh gosh, you guys probably can't see that. Let me see if I can zoom that in a bit. Um, Ahmed, I have a Snickers. He's like, why? Because you're not you when you're hungry and better, and then they're dead. And um, and then there's the cookie monster as a wielding guns and things. So interesting story. I'm glad she made it out alive. Um, when I saw the JL comparisons and stuff, um, I called up my sister, my youngest sister, who loves the story, and I told her about it. She's like, the story lives on. It lives on through her. So go ahead and look it up. The Bible's fun, more fun than you probably are aware of. So glad that there's such awful stories. It's comforting to hear about that sort of ingenuity and club and on your feet thinking and being calm in the face of such terror, holding on to your convictions and your faith, and being a light to her husband in that terrible time. So again, glad she made out okay, and always thankful for the memes. Thank you guys for joining me today. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Please go to blacktnews.com, check out different content on my website, different articles, different videos, etc. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation to blacktnews.com/donate, cost stream, where in my website, all the stuff. If you like what I do here, also you guys can check out different merch that I have. Like I have the I'm Not the Victim You're Looking For shirt that's available on blacktnews.com. Also like different mugs and other stuff like that as well. Please check out my book, of course, God is Blatantly Against Abortion. That's available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. You guys can get it in paperback, or you guys can get it in Kindle. It covers rights, it covers theology, it covers I don't know why Kamala Harris and them tweeted out about reproductive freedom yesterday. It just seems like there's so much going on, but she made a tweet about it, which people are comparing it to the stories that came out today. Excuse me, about the babies. It's such a dumb phrase. Like, reproduction's already happened, has it not? That's why there's a baby there. It's like someone's already been reproduced, but it's their way of getting around abortion. Even like the phrase pro-choice doesn't always like trend well or whatever. So they like to say reproductive freedom because it's they need it's a game of the mind, really. If you don't know how terrible it is, then I guess you'll support it. So anyway, get the book. Again, rights, theology, science, politics, etc. It's a very broad book, though there is a big religious bent, obviously, but it's really good. On a side note, I started reading Frank Turek's book. He didn't write it alone. He co-authored it. I don't have enough faith to be an atheist. It's a really good book so far. Obviously, I'm already a Christian, but if you're a skeptic, I challenge you to go read it and let me know what you think. But it's really good, I think. Anyway, I'll let you know my final verdict after I finish it. I'm a couple chapters in. Anyway, God bless you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow.